we are working very, very hard. We have some very difficult issues, but we believe we're making progress, and we're going to continue to work because of that. Thank you all. Thank you very much. We have our own sense of deadline.
In other words, it's like Obama's red line, you know? They cross the red line, and then after they cross it, he just draws another red line. He has his own sense of red line. Kerry has his own sense of deadline. They just make it up as they go along. Joining us now to talk about this is the Deputy Director of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, author of The Iran Threat, credited with exposing Iranian nuclear sites that were unknown until he did, is Alireza Jafarzadeh. Hello, sir.
Hello, Steve. Good to be on your show.
Well, good to have you back. So this, nonsensical June 30th deadline, which was an extension of a previous deadline, has now come and gone. So deadline is not even an issue. Let's just forget that, because they make a mockery out of the meaning of deadline. But it just seems like as time goes on, we give and give and give, and Iran all the while threatens us, calls us, all kinds of names, says they're going to destroy us, and we sit there with them and give and give and give. I mean, it's like a nightmare.
Unfortunately, Steve, it's because of the approach that the United States and the P5+1 has had with Iran, because you're dealing with a regime that is not a normal state. They're the world's leading state sponsor of terror. They're a major violator of human rights. And they have been deceptive since day one when they got engaged in their nuclear weapons program run by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. So the approach, if it's just constantly giving in, you are going to be doomed to give even more. But if the approach is changed and you are dealing with them from the position of decisiveness and firmness, then you will see a change in the attitude of Tehran. Unfortunately, as you said, the demands have been changing. Only less than a year ago, President Obama said that the underground nuclear facility in Fordo, which is hidden under the mountains, there's no need for Iran to keep that site. Yet when in April they signed a joint plan of agreement, the framework agreement, they actually conceded that Iran would not only keep that site, but would keep as many as 1,000 centrifuges. When it comes to the issue of inspections, instead of having a snap, anytime, any place inspections, they're now talking about managed inspections. That is to say, the onus is now going to be, if that's the case, on the IAEA, which will have to prove to Iran why they want to go to a certain site. This is the wrong approach in dealing with Iran. Iran has been already caught cheating. The whole reason that we are negotiating is because of Iran's violations, and you want to be able to be in a position to have surprise inspections. If you take away the element of surprise, that's going to be no good.
No, of course not. And the number of centrifuges and the sanctions and everything you have discussed here. And, and yesterday Barack Obama, who, by the way, said he would walk away from a bad deal, which is nonsense, because his definition of a bad deal is so out of the mainstream that there's no such thing by our standards, you and me, as a bad deal. We couldn't give him circumstances that he would say, you're right, that's a bad deal. So any deal Obama will sign. But he was asked about, for instance, and they admitted they look at these talks in a vacuum. When you look at the terror that Iran is involved in, you look at what they did in Yemen, you look at the threat of how they use Hezbollah, you look at the 3 Americans that Iran is holding, and Obama addressed them yesterday, but basically said this is a separate issue. How could a country like the United States leave our people to rot and be beaten up in their prisons for no reason and shake their hand and embrace them at the same time?
Well, unfortunately, I think that's the reality as we speak. By separating the issue of human rights, the issue of terrorism, and Iran's rogue behavior in the region, you're basically telling the Iranian regime, go ahead and kill as many people as you want, get engaged in a nefarious way in Syria, in Lebanon, in Iraq, and that would have no impact whatsoever on the nuclear issue. And by the way, when it comes to the nuclear program of Iran, we're going to work with you. We're going to be creative. The whole word creative means that you're going to back down. We're going to give in more. The whole issue of extension really means that there will be more time to give up more things to the Iranian regime. That's why we need to have strict deadlines and stick with those deadlines. Second, when you define what are the main concerns that you have to stick with it. You cannot back down from inspections. You cannot back down from forcing Iran to answer what they call the possible military dimensions, which is their past work on the nuclear weaponization. You cannot back down from getting a full answer to some 11 unanswered questions by the IAEA that has been lingering there for over a decade. And you cannot back down on the demand that Iran must stop its research and development. Because what's the whole purpose of research and development and making more advanced centrifuges? It will allow Iran to have centrifuges that are 20 or 30 times as fast. That means with only a couple hundred centrifuges, you can have as much impact as you would have with a site like in Fardo. So you have a much smaller place needed, and then you have these advanced centrifuges in some underground facilities. And the whole purpose behind inspections is to be able to get to the sites that are unknown.
Right.
The assumption is now that Iran has certain number of centrifuges, but that's only the known part of it. There's so much in the military sites.
Alireza, it is a disaster, and it doesn't make sense because it can't make sense because Obama has an alternate motive for doing all this. He decided he would do this when he was elected, just like with Cuba, and you could bang your head against the wall. It's not going to matter. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Have a great weekend. Appreciate it. The Malzberg panel is next. Don't go away.